Hi all Business Central folks. So a few hours ago, Microsoft released what's new and planned for Business Central 2023 release wave 2. And I was planning to go through all the things that are there just to read out what's available. And I thought let's record it so that I save your time so that you can get a consolidated or summarized view of it. So without wasting any further time, let's get into what's new and planned for Business Central 2023 release wave 2. So I'll put the link in the pinned comment of this video. But here is where you can go for 2023 to 2023 release wave 2 plan for Business Central. And it talks about that there are some features which will be coming between October 2023 and March 2024. So there are some which are kind of ready and will be available in 2023, but there are some which Microsoft is still working on. They'll be available somewhere down the line in CUs and all. In the general availability column, which is here, you will see when the feature is going to be released, and a check mark means that this will also be available in the public preview when they come up. I'm hoping, if I'm not wrong, somewhere in February. Oh, sorry, in August, yes, or September. Yeah, mid September more or less, or early September. So let's go through it. So the first one is something where I'm spending a little bit more time, and as you can see that the public preview will be available somewhere in July and September. These features will be available, and general availability will be from October when the release happens, which are around Power Platform. So let's read through it and understand what these are. So let me open all of these and let's quickly see them. Okay. So the first one is change modification limit for triggering flow and bulk updates. Modification limits. Processing large data set in Power Automate or triggering automation when multiple rows has been updated works smoothly even for larger updates. Until now, there is a limit of 100 rows in the way that Power Automate flow and data words virtual table were triggered when multiple rows were changed during a single or a short period of time. The limit have caused your Power Automate flow to stop reacting at a certain rapid change in the data. Now, going forward, the limit from 100 will be increased to 1000. So if you have 1000 records modified in a short period of time, which is rare, um, Power Automate will understand and Power App will understand and will not kind of break at that point or will not get confused. And that is coming from an idea. So if you have an idea about the feature that you need in Business Central, you can always click on this link and enter your idea. The next one is support business event in Business Central connector for Power Automate. So we did try it in the last VC Open discussion, and that might be the second last video in the channel. So you can go back and see that video, how you use business event in Business Central, which now will also support Power Automate, which we did try. So in the release, there was a preview of it, which is still in preview where I'm testing it and where that video is. But this will be able to react on Power Automate based on when things change in Business Central. So it's a new type of event which is already available in the preview, which let you invoke Power Automate flows at this point from from events in Business Central. So based on certain actions that are done in Business Central, you can trigger a automated flow from there without going out or clicking a button. So there is this, which is when a Business Central event occur, and it immediately react to the business event on the selected environment, and then it reacts even if the specified company name or in any company. So you don't have to make it company specific, which most of the Power Automate flows are. So it can be generic and apply to all the companies if needed. So that's a great thing that's added. And company ID, company name, and initiating user ID can be kind of passed as parameters. And it reacts on multiple events at once, even in parallel, letting Power Automate know that deal concurrently with those calls. It's a great addition. If you haven't seen how it works, find the video in the YouTube channel. That should be the second last video that would have been posted on the channel. enable a specific virtual table when you connect to Dataverse. Okay. So right now what happens is when you connect to Dataverse using the virtual table plugin, all the API entities that you have are kind of being available in the Dataverse. That's what I know as of today. But avoiding duplicate data entry is a key of proposition for integration Business Central with Dataverse. Enabling virtual table make more data available between Business Central and Dataverse, which introduces integration. When you use the setup Dataverse connection or the Dataverse connection setup page in Business Central to set up connection to Dataverse, you can enable a specific virtual table, and then only those specific virtual table will be available in your database environment, which is a nice thing because there can be multiple virtual table, but then based on your need or your customer requirement, you now going forward, if I'm reading it correctly, you'll be able to select which virtual tables you would like to display on the Dataverse. Get control over how view Power BI embedded content. In this release, we are adding more capabilities to Power BI embedded experience, and there will be control over pages and reports, stretch, zoom in, and so scorecard. So these are Power BI capabilities being introduced in 2023 release wave 2. Let's talk about application. And there is a lot, and there is always a lot features in application. So let's quickly open all of those and read them. As you can see, majority of them will be available in the September public preview, and then October they will be live. So at least on the application side, I guess we don't have to wait for any feature to be available later in the future. Okay, so availability overview helps you to calculate quantities on warehouse. So now from source documents such as sales order, purchase order, production order, assembly order, you can access the information about the availability of item in your warehouse. So you can see how much is available on your warehouse. The information is real time and respect factors that affect availability, such as dedicated bin, locked bins, and all. And okay, so now when you're creating these kind of documents, you will have a clear availability based on the location that you choose on these documents, which is a nice thing because now you know how much is available so that you can decide how much you want to consume in these particular outbound documents, which is great. Let's see how that comes into the picture. Configure the right level of handling for different warehouse operations. So it seems heavier on warehouse in this release at this point. Business Central provides a wealth of capabilities for managing a warehouse and configure inbound and outbound and internal warehouse process workflow individually. For example, you can use warehouse shipment to send items to customer, but use inventory movement to replenishment build. I did not get most of it, but we'll see what's being added. Do financial consolidation across environment in multi-company setup across environment, which is great. When I say across environment, then think about Business Central SaaS where you have multiple, and I'll make an assumption where you have multiple tenants. You should be able to do consolidation across multiple tenants. I hope so. Let's see. Some organizations use Business Central in multiple business unit or legal entities. Other use Business Central in subsidiary that must report on the parent organization. In some situations, the unit entities and subsidiary don't use the same Business Central environment. For example, a subsidiary company might be in a different geography than the consolidated company. To enable your accountant to consolidate financial data and entities without having to handle files on business unit card page, you can choose the environment in the Business Central unit uses. So now, if you have, as a company, if you have multiple tenants, one in US, one in India, one in Germany, and your consolidation, let's say, resides in Germany, just for an example, then you can bring the data from the India tenant and from the US tenant into the Germany consolidated organization or the company in Business Central, which was not available till now. So it's a great enhancement. I would like to see how it is implemented. I'm hoping it's API. Hopefully it is API, and that brings everything in picture. But it's a nice feature. I would like to tag that along or see it later. Okay. Edited in Excel on item journal and warehouse worksheet. Oh, it was not available. I don't use it much as a developer, but it seems it'll be available. Edited in Excel will be available in reclassification, physical inventory, production, output, consumption, requisition, planning, warehouse item journal, reclassification journal, physical inventory journal, pick worksheet, put away, movement, and bin content. So it seems it will be available going forward in most of the commonly used entities. So I think it's a great enhancement to the Business Central where users who like editing Excel will be able to make their, you know, do their work easily. Get more productive while approving timesheets. Okay. When you submit your timesheet to your approver, you can send a notification to let them know that it is ready. If you are the approver, you can do the same for the requester after you approve or reject the timesheet. Timesheets are supported at multi-level approver, and if approver is unavailable, you can specify a substitute for them. The process of approving time is more efficient because approvers can approve and reject multiple timesheet at the same time rather than one by one. Okay, so now in summary, there are notifications that are built in the timesheet approval process. So you can let the approver know that you have submitted the time, and in the same way, an approver can tell you that he have approved or rejected your time from Business Central directly, which is great. Okay, get more productive while entering timesheets. Okay, another thing or same thing. We made it faster to move efficient and more efficient to fill out timesheets. You can use the copy from action to the timesheet page to copy information from lines on the previous timesheet. You can also copy information from previous row on your timesheet. For example, when you are filling out a timesheet where you have worked on the same job, you might want to copy the job and task number. So you'll be able to kind of copy things between the older timesheets as well as from the same timesheet if needed. Include approvals in intercompany journals in your workflow. So going forward, even for intercompany transactions that are there in Business Central, now you can include approval workflow in the journal process of intercompany. The approval workflow is gives someone like a manager the opportunity to review the intercompany journal before they get posted. So when in the intercompany you can transfer to a journal between companies, and now there will be an approval also available. Make intercompany transaction across Business Central environment. Oh, nice. This is interesting. It is easy to set up an intercompany partnership between companies that operate in different Business Central environment. On the intercompany partner setup page, when you choose an environment that you have access to, you can choose a company that you are allowed to set an intercompany partner in the environment. Afterward, you will be able to automatically send and receive transaction from the company even though it is on a different environment. So the same thing that we discussed about the consolidation, I guess the similar feature is also brought into the intercompany feature, which is great because there are requirements where intercompany transaction is required between environments. So I would love to kind of explore this feature and how it works. But yes, you will have to make sure that your mapping of chart of count and dimensions and other things are, you know, resides in different Business Central environment. They should be mapped in the right way. But I am pretty sure people will be happy by looking at this feature across environment. Suggest the next step in sales and production order. Okay, what that means? Business Central offer reservation worksheet that can help you to reserve and allocate incoming goods in bulk so that you can be sure that quantities are available for your sales and production order. Based on the quantities you have reserved in inventory, Business Central displays a status on the document so that you are quickly aware on the next step. For example, Business Central will indicate that you can ship a sales order or start to work on job assembly production order. The status also help you to reduce the risk of accidental partial shipment. Okay. Scenario. A salesperson or production planner want to check the status of demand document and take the next steps such as post consumption or create warehouse document. The new reservation from stock field help them to understand whether they can ship or pick from a specific order or order line. For example, reservation from stock field is available on the fact boxes. For example, on sales order, it's available in the sales line detail. Reserved from stock is partial at this point. There are three options to it. Full, the outstanding quantity is completely reserved from on-hand inventory. Partial, the outstanding quantity is partially reserved. And none, the outstanding quantity isn't reserved at all or it's reserved from other source documents such as purchase order. Hmm. To get the information about the status of entire document, check the reservation from stock field in the stats. Okay. They will also have the same field. Documents that are ready for processing move to the next stage automatically. Okay. The default quantity to ship set to blank on the sales and receivable setup page. There's a default boolean where you can set how much you want to ship. The sales reservation available report that updates the quantity on ship on the sales document that are reserved from inventory. The batch post order task that can run through document and post shipments only or also include invoices. I'm a little bit confused how it'll automatically move to the next stage. But maybe once it kind of bakes it into the preview, we'll be able to test it. I'll have to read about it, maybe, or see it, or use it. So let's wait for it. Sync documents and posting dates from sales and purchase. Um, to help your to help you comply with accounting standards and ensure accurate financial calculation, sales and purchase document have date fields that serve different purpose. The document date, the posting date. Depending on your business processes, the date might not be the same. To give a flexibility you need, to give you the flexibility you need, the link doc date to posting date setting on sales and receivable and purchase and payable setup let you configure your sales and purchase processes automatically. Link doc date to posting date specifies whether the document date changes when the posting date is modified. It does not impact the journals, but now whenever a posting date is modified, the document date also changes if this boolean is enabled. In the previous version, changing the posting date always updated the document date, which you may not need. And if you don't need, then you can disable this. Earlier, you had to create a subscriber and handle that with the event. So if you have done that, you might want to remove it with the next update. Now you can just turn off the setting and it'll make sure that that does not happen. Nice. Troubleshooting Shopify integration issues, and I haven't worked on Shopify for sure. But the logging functionality can help you to troubleshoot any issue and quickly identify its root cause. On the other hand, overly detailed logs can be difficult to decipher and might consume a lot of space in your database storage. The new logging mode is now either disable, error only, or all. So you can decide what kind of log you want to create. And based on your requirement, it will only log that kind of data. In the past, it used to log everything, which used to consume a lot of space as per the documentation here. We have also made a lot of improvement in log entries. The has error toggle whether a request failed, the response of error detail. That information can help you to identify failed entries faster. When full logging is on, only those entries are saved in the database if your logging mode is set to error only. The request preview and response preview contains the first 50 character of the request and response. So you can see the request structure and the response structure. Nice. And then surely to control your database size, you should include your table into database data retention policy, which Microsoft seems to be have added in here. So now you can choose the Shopify log entries table here and delete it after a predefined time, which is a nice addition to make sure that your database size does not grow drastically. Usability improvement for warehouse inventory and tracking. Okay. Uh, Warehouse employees can be created during testing and pre-sales. Each user who perform warehouse activities must be set up as warehouse employee, as we all know, and assigned a default location and potentially more non-default location. This setup filters all warehouse activities across the database. During testing or pre-sales activity, you may run into a scenario where business center will check whether a warehouse employee record exists for the user or not. If the warehouse employee record is missing from the user and the user have the right permission, business center will suggest you to create a warehouse employee without interrupting your flow. So when you're trying to open the shipments and receipt, warehouse shipment and receipt, if you're not a warehouse employee as of today, you have to go back to warehouse employee, add yourself with a location, and then go back. Now with the next release, it'll suggest you that you want to create it, and you just say yes and automatically add it, right? On the warehouse employee page, you can add a location for the user. Alternatively, you can choose add me as warehouse employee action and select one or more location. The page is filtered for current users, so user ID will be filled in automatically, which is nice. Great. This has taken so much time when you are showing different things on at least on pre-sales and all. Direct picks and put away suggestion, basic warehouse configuration, bin ranking, and put away templates. You can now set up put away templates to control how you put away items in warehouse. Put away templates are especially useful when item or SKUs have a special storage requirement. Business Central finds a bin that meets the requirement for put away and set up the warehouse item stock keeping unit. If it cannot find it, look for a bin, meet the second line, and so on and so forth. If several bins are found, Business Central uses the bin with the highest ranking. Okay, so it can actually do things automatically with the put away templates going forward. As I was saying in the beginning, it seems heavy on warehouse with this release, which is a nice area to kind of enhance things. Use general ledger allocation to distribute cost and revenue more efficiently. Okay, what it does, you can use customized allocation keys to automatically distribute of revenue and cost transaction in journals, sales document, and purchase document. Allocation key can trigger automatically GL entry posting and allocation across different account and dimensions. For example, allocation key can automatically posting related to payroll overhead. When posting total salary expense at the end of the month, you can use automatic account code to assign a percentage to the total salary. Okay. Fixed amount, variable amount, and statistics amount. And I'm pretty sure somebody from finance will understand this better than me. Okay. Coming back to Copilot and AI, it seems a new addition in the release plan. A great addition, surely needed addition in the, at least in the release note, and I'm pretty sure in the product. So now the bank account reconciliation works faster with the Microsoft Copilot. What they have done into it will be interesting. The bank account reconciliation feature is now enhanced with AI powered transaction mapping. So now there is an AI powered matching of transaction, which was a little bit automatic with the code and a little bit manual that we used to in the past. And then it also have AI generated explanations for how remaining transaction could be matched, making it easier for bookkeeper to complete the account reconciliation task by simply reviewing and approving matches. Great. This is how you start utilizing the power of AI slowly and slowly, where AI kind of learns from the business users and consultants and developers for sure. Get marketing text suggestion with Copilot. I think that was already there, but This wave include various quality improvement that address customer feedback that has been done, support for more languages beyond English, great addition, use of marketing tests on the price list report, okay, improve discoverability from within the web client, and improvement to the content moderation. Okay. It seems there will be great marketing text using Copilot going forward because there seems to be various enhancement done in that area. So I'm super excited at least to see what comes up with these. Not going detail into country and region, but it seems that throughout the year there will be more and more countries coming in and some regional changes. New design for new design for report language and region setting. That's important. Some changes based on different countries, as in you guys can read it if that impacts you, and let's see what new countries are being added in November. So first, the new design for report language and report setting. So the format region feature in Business Center introduces simplified language and regional setting that provide flexibility to user. This feature addresses existing design flaws. The inability to customize formats for individual reports, the lack of support for setting the same format as the report language on the customer vendor card, the dependency of report language and format on my settings. To address these design flow, the format region feature introduced the following changes. The region setting is available on customer card now and vendor card pages. The language setting was already available. Now, with the format introduced, uh, are also available on the request page of report. So what will happen? The behavior and the order of the priority that determines the report output language and the format are defined as follows. Language and format from the request page will take the first priority. The second priority will be taken based on the defined on the document. These come from customer or vendor settings. And then the language and format, if does not found in the first two, will be based on the AL object, and last based on my settings. So in the past, the language and regional formatting were just static on my settings. Now that's on the last priority from where system will pick it. When you are running a report, the first thing from where it will pick the language and formatting option is based on the request page of the report, if you have defined it there. If you haven't, you'll get it from the customer or vendor settings. If it is not defined on those cards, then you'll go and look for the AL object where these format settings can be defined, and at the end it'll go to the my settings. So last resort still is my setting, but you have different areas where you can define it based on, if you don't want user to fill in every time on the request page, then you define it on master. Or if you don't even want to do it on master, then maybe define it on the report level. So there are multiple layers where it will try to find the language and the format defined for the reports. Let's see the new countries that are being added, and the list goes on. Business Central is now expanding in, this is now available to 150 plus countries and region worldwide. And in this release, Microsoft is expanding to following regions. So if you are in one of these regions and you did not have access to Business Central, guys, get ready. You will have access to Business Central sooner than later now with the next release, and this should be available in public previews in November. So by December 2023, by end of this year, these countries will be able to activate Business Central in their regions. Okay, that's all about country and region. Oh, that's pretty less on development. I wanted more on it, but these seems pretty nice, and we'll spend a good amount of time into it. Open Visual Studio Code from web client to investigate or troubleshoot extension. Nice. This is interesting. As a developer or a consultant, you can open a new VS Code session from the web client for a specific customer production or sandbox environment. Different contexts will be supported, for example, for a page field or extension from within the page inspector or from the help and support page. Depending on the context, Visual Studio Code will either open to allow inspecting object and source, or to attach and debug the current web client session. Nice. It is very hard to train how to debug a resource who is not technical at this moment. But with this, it'll be super simple, because based on the context where you are in on your client, when I'm hoping there's a button somewhere, when you click that button and if you have VS Code installed, it will start the VS Code in that particular context, either with the source code, or either it will allow you to attach and debug the current web client session. So great. As in, I would request every consultant, if you don't have, install Visual Studio Code, because you will need it going forward. Friends, project from the chosen extensions will be created. Matching launch configuration will be created. Nice. If invoked from the context to view extension symbols will be downloaded, as AL Explorer will open it to easily allow browsing objects. If invoked to view source or attach and debug, the user will it end in a debug DAL source file. In both scenarios, access to the source will be gated by the resource exposure policy, which is obvious and makes sense. So you can't uh, debug or see the code from an ISV if that's not exposed by resource exposure policy by the extension developer, which makes complete sense. But at least for the base app, which is available for everyone, if you have to debug a particular page or a particular scenario, now you can just activate it from your web client, which is a nice enhancement. I would love to test this out. Okay. Turn off data analysis mode on pages and queries. Off. Okay. The data analysis mode was introduced, I know, in the last release, way of interacting with data on the list pages. Instead of running reports, you can have a different way to kind of pivot data and all. You can simply add multiple tabs that represent different tasks. Makes sense. For some list pages, such as feature management, this capability does not have much sense. Therefore, we make the following possible. AL developer can turn off the data analysis mode by using the page metadata. Okay. Tenant admin can override the developer choice in the client by using a list page on the system table on a tenant level. Tenant admin can turn off the data analysis mode for a specific user, probably done using a specific permission. Okay. So let's understand what it is and what Microsoft is trying to change on it. I guess both of those are important. The first thing is that the Microsoft released the data analysis feature in the last release, where every list there used to be a button where you can turn the analysis mode on, and then you can create pivot and all. Going forward, they are going to control which pages will show you the data analysis, and that's important because some data in some pages is critical for customers, and you don't want to have access for everyone on that. So now a developer can disable it, but that's just at the level of the code. But the majority of the control remains with the tenant administration, with the system administrator, who can override the developer choice in the client by saying, okay, I'll allow this. Or they can even control it based on a specific user. And as per the documentation, it seems that Microsoft will be doing it based on the permission. Now, if they do it on based on permission, the only problem that I see is that person who did not have that permission lose access to every page where there is a analysis option. And maybe that is not what a customer wants. They want to control it on certain pages. So I'm hoping the way Microsoft does it is have a list kind of page where based on, or a matrix page where they say this user can do this on this page. I know it's hard to implement, but I think that that's the right way to control it. If I just do it based on permission, then every page kind of removes that option of data analysis, which can be a little bit tough. Okay, but let's see what comes up. and we'll see it once it is out in October or September in the public preview. Turn off indexes as a partner. Okay, let me read it. This is important. AL developer can get an overview of index cost and users frequency. They can then turn off indexes that are infrequently used or that are too expensive to maintain. By doing this, performance of database operation can be greatly improved. Okay, this is interesting. I would like to see how Microsoft implemented, where I, as a developer, can analyze which keys are not performing better or which keys are not needed and then can disable them and where they'll bring it. So this is important. Let's see what happens with that. Use the built-in rich text editor to enter data. Okay, where it is. Until now, you could only use rich text editing capabilities such as font and style formatting in email scenarios, right? Now, Microsoft is bringing the power of built-in rich text editor to all media files in Business Central. Developers can also customize rich text experience from their extension and application. At the first iteration, Microsoft will support multi-line text but not in full screen mode and have a rich content toolbar intended for multimedia scenarios such as include table, pictures and more. This can increase productivity and efficiency for reducing the time and effort required to perform tasks. Okay, I'll be interested to see where this comes into. Right now, it says that it will be built in for all media field in Business Central. So let's see what comes up with that. Because this is important. There are scenarios where there are requirements that a user or a business needs a rich text editor capabilities in different areas of Business Central. So if that comes in, that'll be an interesting feature to look at. And that's it for developers. Okay, hope so. Governance. Assign more granular administration, right? Improved update release process and cancel cloud migration runs. Okay. Granular administration right. What does that mean? A new AD role is given to customers, gives customer more granular control over delegated admin exercise. Delegated admins means developers at the partner's end. The Dynamics 365 Central Administrator, Business Central Administrator role let you manage all aspect of Business Central environment, but does not grant you access to other D365 product. Customer administrator can now grant access to individual environment to users from specified partner tenants via Business Central Admin Center. This feature better supports scenarios where multiple partners are supporting different environment for the same customer. Okay, makes sense. Improved update release procedures. Okay, during this wave 2 we are improving our update release processes. Okay, customer who don't manually schedule their environment updates can expect update to start quickly after the start of environment update window. Okay, to deploy update more gradually to environment that don't manually reschedule the update to a different date. Update availability and default scheduling will vary per region. Okay, so guys, if you are a tenant administrator, make sure that you have set the update window and update timings on your environments. If you haven't, going forward, if you haven't set that up, those will be the first customers who will get updated. And I'm not saying that there is a problem in updating. The problem is that it should not come as a surprise. You should know that you have to do it. And I personally feel that as soon as you can test that everything looks good after the update, which you should be doing on a sandbox environment, then you should not delay your upgrade. Right? It's gonna happen in any case. So why delay on it? So, but there's a catch on it right now. It says that the default scheduling will vary from region to region. So let's see how that goes. But make sure as an administrator that you have set up those properties at least when you want to update, at what time windows, uh, on what time zone, and what time window your organization can handle a upgrade where it does not impact the business processes that are happening. So make sure this is set. It's important. Cancel cloud migration replication run. Okay. The first replication run for cloud migration typically migrates the largest amount of data and can take some time to complete. Whenever an administrator realizes a mistake was made in the setup, okay, but the first replication run has already started, they are forced to wait until the run completes before can restart. By introducing the possibility to cancel ongoing replication run, we are making it easier to correct the mistake quickly and try again. Okay. So think about when you're moving from on-prem to SaaS and you have this huge database that you are replicating to Business Central SaaS. Um, there are different ways to handle it. Like you can do it by company. You can pick three companies at a go and then replicate them, and then pick others and run on the second run. There's no way to stop it once it is started. So now with this enhancement in 2023 release wave 2, administrators, and especially it's done by partners, will be able to pause or stop, not pause, stop the migration, fix whatever they have done wrong, and then reschedule it. Nice, it's needed. Okay. Resignation. Okay, let's see. Digital voucher, e-document, and large companies to report payment time. Digital vouchers. Okay. You can have one or more source document for each GL register to prove of a transaction and a full audit trail. You can set up the system to enforce attaching document if required by the law. Okay, so you can choose to require mandatory vouchers or use this feature voluntarily. When you attach the document to a specific transaction, the document is added as an attachment to GL register after the transaction is posted. Okay. If the system is configured to enforce the use of vouchers, the system will prevent the document, journals, or any other type of posting if attachment does not exist. You can set up the enforcement per transaction type. When there isn't a space to upload a specific document, for example, a cost adjustment or an adjustment exchange rate, and this is still required by law, the system can configure to create a source document based on required transaction, upload it to the related GL register automatically. After the document is uploaded, it can't be deleted or modified as an attachment during the retention period. You can also set up the max document size to prevent uploading big documents, and retention policy to set requirement of keeping attached document. Okay, I'll have to test it out, and it seems nice for finance people for sure. E-document code as a global solution. What is this? The continuous transaction control package, CTC package, is a relatively new term that is used to describe mandatory real-time invoice reporting and validation by the tax authorities through e-invoicing or transaction listing. This model of invoicing is becoming the standard method of communicating, but in some countries it's already mandated by law. So Business Central will just support it, whatever that process is, so you can read about it. Large companies to report payment times. What happens with this? Every year, Swedish company with 250 and more employees must report to Swedish company registered office when a payment times they have for purchase from companies that are smaller than themselves. Similar act exists in United Kingdoms, Australia, and New Zealand. So this app is a global feature for this kind of reporting. The new feature sorts vendor based on size of the payment terms and provides reporting for the vendors for the following required local authorities: the average agreed payment period, the average actual payment term, the proportion of invoices paid after the end of agreement. I'll have to test this. Don't know much about it, but we'll see. Onboarding. Okay, let's see. We are nearly done with this. So let's see what's in onboarding. Modify text on the welcome banner and skip banner intro state. So now you can modify the banner text, the welcome banner text. Okay, the banner have two static content used for evaluation and non-evaluation companies respectively. The welcome banner is great for welcoming users because it helps them to feel appreciated and recognized, and provide information that helps people to get started with Business Center. So now you'll be able to change it going forward, okay, and set initial role before first sign in for a better first run experience. And I guess this was already a feature. There's nothing new, I hope. But let me read through it. By default, everybody who signs in up for a trial version start with Business Manager Evaluation Role Center when they sign in for the first time. Now partners can specify a role that the best match for the user, which provides the better first run experience. This mechanism, I think that was available already, but we'll see that once that comes in. Okay, productivity with Office 365, Excel enhancement to Excel add-in. I guess we saw that it's being added in new areas where it was not available, but now dimensions are included on more pages when edited in Excel. So you'll get dimension expanded, not the dimension set ID. Increase accuracy of filters, improve reliability of OData for technology, and add in support on-premise deployment that have dedicated server instance. So it's now also available on-prem, it seems, at this point. Okay. What else? Reporting. Okay, I think we talked about analyze, and let's see what else is here. And then we have service and user. Analyze, group, and pivot data on queries using multiple tabs. So now in the analysis mode, which you as administrator or as a developer can control to an extent, who will be able to see it or not. But analysis mode was introduced as we saw earlier. Instead of running reports using different options as filter, you can simply add multiple tabs and represent this. It is possible to analyze data from a query in the same way as to a list page. So now the analyze feature is also added into the query, which is nice because I personally feel that queries are not used. The power of queries is not used by the community. So if you haven't used queries, start using them. They are super cool. So now they also come with analyze. That's a great enhancement. From any analysis tab, you can share a link to the tab with coworkers. So you can just send it to a Teams channel or somewhere. Shared link can also be used as a click once installation for good out of box analysis. Okay, this is something that I don't understand. We'll see what that is. Discover reports and data analysis content easily. Business Central comes up with many options for reporting, BI, dashboards, and data analysis. In this release, we aim to make this content much easier to discover for user through search and new report explore page. Oh, so there's a new page coming up, Report Explorer. Let's see what that brings in. Power BI for reporting and data analysis on finance, sales, and inventory. Add API queries that can be analyzed directly in the client. Build Power BI report and package them in Power BI app. Expose selected queries in Excel layout and document how KPIs. Okay, so it's just enhancing the Power BI capabilities in Business Center. Okay, let's see what else is there. Just two items. This is important, service and platform. I always like this area because this talks about, especially about performance. And if you look at it, all of them are somewhere related to performance. The first one is data will load faster in the server. And let's see how Microsoft is planning to do that. Improving the data loading speed on server benefit all user scenario, including web services and all. This release focuses on optimizing two essential part of data stack in Business Center. The data model for table extension. Now this is interesting. What is Microsoft going to change on that? Because this seems a pretty huge improvement if that happens. The use of modern SQL data type for booleans and blobs. So two major enhancement coming from the performance side. So we'll look at it. Faster application scenario. How it is possible? Optimization on running country specific reports, renumbering journal entries, validating sales order, and generating age account receivable and CLs. So we'll have to see. These are just scenarios that should be faster. Page loads faster in the client. Opening a new tab and running navigation bar on all pages. Okay. Performance gained by reducing locks in the database. In this release, we will optimize this very central part of the data stack in Business Central Server, change the default locking behavior in AL from serialized read to read committed. So we'll only read the data which is committed, which is nice. So that should enhance the performance. Okay. Last but not least is user experience because that's important. And these are coming late in the schedule, but I think that's okay. And that should give us everything. Okay. Add existing table field to optimize your page. I'm still confused about this one. Why Microsoft is doing it, but let's see. Customize per role, where you customize the profile. So that was already there. I don't think that changes anything. Get access to more field apart from recommended field that are already shown on or hidden on the page. Choose from additional field that originated from the source table that powers the page. Okay. Add to all the right places. Drag and drop field from field management pane and precisely where you want it. Start using field immediately. Okay, that makes sense, but I would love Microsoft to disable the the designer part of it because that causes a lot of problem at least to the partner and also to the customer space. And we can talk about it some other day. Get to data search from anywhere in Business Central. So that means now the search button will be available throughout the application. So you don't have to go back to your home page to search something. If you are on a sales order, as the screen says, you can search it from there. And the preview of search in company data is already available, and you can add or remove tables into it, right? So this is nice. This makes sense. Distinguish browser tabs when multitasking. Multi-company, the company batch always appears on the top. Context, the table name of the list or the document field reflects on the current record, no matter how navigation is done. Reliability, trimmed all secondary information. Okay. So the pattern list pages, example item list pages, browser tab name. So the tab names will change called items. Nice. List view of open sales order list. So it'll call sales order open on your browser tab. So now your tabs will be named. So if you're using Business Central and you have different tabs open on the same client, so based on what page you are in, what kind of filter you have in, if you're on a card page, list page, on a filtered page, or on a drafted record or something like that, the the caption or the tab name like you see here will change to whatever entity you are in, which is great. That helps so much. Thank you Microsoft for this one. Shared readable deep links to the pages and record. What you can do, if the company has a batch, the hyperlink includes it. Okay, so like on a list page, item list page, the hyperlink caption calls item. Okay, sales order open and so on and so forth, which is again a similar thing. When you're pasting that, it gives you that context where you are in or what link it'll take you to. Manage user expectation by selecting context based action. Okay, however, some action do not work for more than one thing at a time. To clarify what you can do when you haven't selected anything or you have made a single or multiple selection. Okay, let's see what that brings in into the table. Peek at summarized data from editable field. Peak control was available only on the list and non-editable forms. Now you can use it on to access summarize information about related record, which can help you to stay focused. Okay, let's see. Search for pages and data in a mobile app. Okay, so now even on your mobile app, you can search based on the entity that you are trying to refer, which is great. Use action to navigate or fix error from inline validation dialog. Validating data help reduces the risk of consistency. However, finding errors is one thing, resolving them can be another. In the previous release, we have introduced actions or error that either take you to the page where you can fix an error or have Business Central to fix for you. So now you'll be able to read more validating dialogue. If you enter the data that causes an error, you'll get the right error message, which will help you to kind of save that time. It seems a lot of features being added into the product. And I'm super excited at least to see, and let me tell you my favorites. Okay, let me go from top to bottom and talk about my favorites. Um, okay, this one for sure is one of my best friend that I would like to see. This one is also my best friend. So these two in the Power Platform thing. In application, this one, calculate quantities on your warehouse. And these two, one is around across business central environment intercompany transaction, and also for the consolidation one across multiple environment, which is great. I'm not an expert on all other areas, but I like both of these. I would love to have more and more AI in Business Central as soon as possible. Welcoming new countries is a good enhancement. The report language and region is also a great enhancement that I'm looking for. Everything on development sounds great. It brings more clarity to us. Um, oh, I have been doing a lot of migration, so I know cancel cloud migration is something that's always needed. I love and I will encourage people to start reading at least this one. This is important. Um, okay. And then here, oh yeah, the analyze group and pivot data on queries, great addition. Everything on service and platform. As an I could not expect more out of it at this moment. And then there are some here like mm, oh, get the search data anywhere. Distinguish browser tab and deep link, which are doing the same thing, but they are great as they will be released. And that's it. So I would highly encourage if there are any questions to add them into the comments to this video. And whenever the preview is out, I'll start testing out all these features. Let me know how you felt about this video. Did you learn something new? Are you excited about the new release? Uh, what are your favorites? Just take a pause in the video, go down and add or suggest your favorite topics that will help you in your business or your customers in their business. So I'll be looking forward for your comments and understanding what you like, what kind of features will make sense to all the customers and partners who are using Business Central. That's all for today. I'll come back. Do share this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. There is a lot coming in into this channel as we go forward. And if you have any idea about what kind of content you need, just add a comment somewhere and I'll read it from somewhere. So don't worry about it. I read all my comments and if possible, I try to reply them as soon as possible. So I'll see you next day with the next video about what's new in Business Central, Power Platform, Synapse, and other things. There are the the ecosystem has grown drastically when you think from a Business Central perspective. And yes, we can't be expert on everything, but we need to know a little bit of everything, I think. So I'll come back and we'll be talking about good stuff in future, I guess. So thank you and see you next time.